And we'll actually scoot this over a little bit. We're going to start at the back one, make sure the screw guide peg is in the hole for that one, for that rear bumper brace. And we'll screw that one up. Okay, then we're going to grab the right rear shock tower, which is going to be part number 3 again. Lay that on. Grab 2 of your self-tapping countersunk screws. Make sure you got the correct length. You don't want the short ones, you don't want the real long ones, you want the medium ones. Get those burned in. Like so. Move to the center. Line up your, snap them on. You'll actually heard that snap. That's the 2 little guide pins from the transmission or the skid plate. Grab 2 of your pan head screws. Run those in. Oops. Good solid steel frame. Okay, then we go up to the next brace. We're going to grab our last shock tower, part number 2, the right front tower. Line that up. Grab your self-tapping countersunk screws for that. Just have 1 and 2. Go ahead and run them in. Now at the same time you're doing that, you'll notice it'll start to pull down the front. Line up your front guide pins for those 2 front braces as you're sucking down that shock tower. You don't want to crush those in there wrong. Actually, at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump ahead and put a pan head screw which I just noticed I'm actually short 2 screws. Okay, well, let's get this other shock tower screw in. We should have 8 pan heads is what they're saying. We're going to count this off here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're coming up too short on this. Not really sure why. If you go through the picture, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay, I see what I did wrong. Go back and pull your 2 out of the transmission. I didn't pay attention to that. There are 2 clips. We're going to go back to this in just a sec here. Pull those 2 pan heads out of the tranny side on the right side. Those go to the front for the front braces. Screw those both down. So you should only have the 8 pan heads. It was my mistake. I just got to follow the directions a little closer. That's why I'm building this, so you can see what you need to pay attention to. On this side of the transmission mount or the skid plate, there are 2 plastic clips. These clips screw on, and actually what those are wire clips. They hold the wires for your motor speed controller and such out of the way so they don't get tangled up in anything. They're on parts tree number 80031, and you're going to want both of them numbered 3, which I've got one numbered 3 and one numbered 5. They're actually the same clips, so we're going to take one of each. So we got 1 and 2. I would just take one is 3 and one is 5. Lay those on so they actually go over the edge of the frame rail. Grab 2 of your countersunk screws again. There's one. And there's two. Then you can tighten those down. These are a good little idea. I'm glad they put these in this kit. Eliminates the use of zip ties, in a couple of places, more or less. Okay, basically your wires will snap down into those clips out of the way. Alright, there we have the basic chassis. Frame rails, suspension, everything's pretty much your suspension mounts here. Okay, we're going to go on. Step 32 is done. And it's now time for step 33, which is going to consist of mounting the front suspension up to the chassis. So what we're going to do, I'm actually going to bring my block of wood back in for this because I kind of like to have things up in the air a little, so it's not all laying flat on the table in a big heap. Bring in your front suspension assembly, lay out all your links towards the back. I like to tip the shocks kind of forward for now. Basically what you're going to want to do is, this is kind of a marriage of everything together here. And what we'll do is we'll kind of bring this into place. You're going to notice that your upper links attach right to the frame rails at the front of the skid plate. And they actually, basically this step is follow the lines, put the bolts in, put the nuts on. Start with the upper links first. You're going to have 2 long pan head screws for the upper links. And the easiest way to go about that is to just put each one through. Don't just do one at a time. You might actually have to thread these through these holes. So you thread these through. They're going to be a little snug. Okay, I got that through almost all the way. I'm going to slip the link on, otherwise I'm not going to be able to get it in there if I go too far, because those links don't squeeze together at all, being that they're mounted to that Y adapter. Run that all the way in. Get out a lock nut and get your lock nut. Actually, I'm going to have to back this up a little bit. It's hitting my motor. Another way to do this is to run this back all the way flush. Okay. Oops. Yeah, bud. Some of these steps aren't the easiest, especially if you got big fingers. Okay, so we're going to take that just like that. We're going to get in here and grab a hold of it. Run the bolt all the way through, or the screw. It's a lock nut.